Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone. February and March of 2021 was the absolute peak of the hobby sports card boom. That's when prices were at all-time highs, just astronomically out of control. And you know, we're now 3 years removed from that, and the last 3 years have seen some of the biggest price drops in sports card history, certainly in like a condensed 3-year window. So I just picked out 5 cards that really highlight that, and for the most part, it was pretty predictable that these 5 cards were overvalued and were going to drop in value. Although when you see the percentages they dropped, that was not predictable. But we'll go through each one by one, and you know what it was worth then, what it's worth now, and sort of discuss why that happened. All right, so I have what we'll call a standard baseball, basketball, and football example, and then a couple more extreme examples. But the baseball example is 2020 Topps Chrome Gavin Lux rookie, graded a PSA Gem Mint 10, and I could have picked any number of sort of young prospecty type players of this era or right around these years. Lewis Robert would have worked, Eloy Jimenez, a bunch of players like that, but chose Gavin Lux here. This card, is just printed to the moon. I mean, there's 38 gazillion of them. I'm rounding to the nearest gazillion, but you get the point. And this was at a time when a lot of people entered the hobby and just didn't sort of understand these supply and demand rules. So this card in a PSA 10 peaked out at about $115 or so. Here's a whole bunch of sales in early April of 2021. And this is about as high as the card got. Now, this is just a standard base card of a player who's really, proven to be not a potential superstar in the league. So this card's come down for a number of reasons. Obviously, one is the oversupply, and then two is Gavin Lux has not really panned out into something great. Today, the card sells for about $9 for a PSA 10. You can see the last few sales were all right around, between $5 and $11. And, $9 doesn't even cover half the cost of the grading fee. So that's sort of the fate of this card, at least as of today. So going from $115 3 years ago to $9 today represents a 92% drop in value. All right, next up our basketball example. In this card, 2019 Panini Prizm Zion Williamson rookie. This is just his base card. Is maybe more than any other sort of the poster card of the 2020 and 2021 price boom. Maybe the Luka Doncic Prizm rookie from a year earlier, although this one had a much bigger fall than that one. But just in terms of cards being so crazy out of control value-wise, base cards that were super common selling for astronomical prices. This Zion Williamson is the third most common PSA 10 card in history, or at least it was the last time I looked, and I'm sure it's still right around there if it's not still number 3 or about that. But even so, the card was just selling for incredibly high prices. Here's just a snapshot of December 23rd, 2020. You can see about 20 sales of the card in a PSA 10, and they're all right around 1,000. Ranging from, it looks like $925 on the low end up to a little over $1,100 on the high end. So yeah, $1,000 card this got up to, and this card just has no business being $1,000. It never did, and it never will. Today the card in a PSA 10 sells for about $40 or so. You can see the last 5 sales there: 34, 41, 41, 38, 43. And Zion Williamson obviously has had a pretty disappointing career, mainly due to injuries, but just hasn't really played full seasons yet, and he's now 24, so he's not like a super young prospect anymore. And sort of the odds that he'll end up being an all-time great are sort of diminishing a little each year as we go. So $40 for this card that used to be $1,000, that represents a 96% drop. All right, and our football example is actually very, very similar to the Zion example. It's another 2019 Panini Prizm rookie card, this one of Kyler Murray, and price-wise, it's also very, very similar. Now, the Kyler Murray is a little rarer than the Zion, but not a lot rarer. I mean, it's still a base card with lots and lots of copies available out there, and lots of copies of PSA 10s available out there. And Kyler Murray, like Zion Williamson, #1 overall draft pick, and like Zion Williamson, has shown some flashes of greatness, but 5 years into his career overall, you would have to call it more or less a disappointment at this point, at least compared to what the expectations were. Although I would say, the expectations placed on high-end draft picks and sort of rookies like this in the card world is very often just completely unreasonable and blown out of proportion. In late September of 2020, here's a 4-day snapshot from September 23rd to September 26th. The card was selling for well over $1,000. We'll call it $1,100. It's probably a little less than $1,100, but we'll call it $1,100 here on average. And this is really where the card peaked. Today, the card sells for very similar to the Zion, about a little over $40. We'll call it $42 on average, with the last sales being $39, $48, $39, $47, and $46. Doing the math here, going from 1100 down to 42, just like the Zion, that represents a 96% drop in the card's value over the last 3+ years. All right, so those were our three sort of standard examples, base rookie cards of young prospects at the time who had a lot baked into their card values in terms of they're going to eventually be all-time greats. Now, in theory, all three of them still could become all-time great. All three of them are still starters in the league and active, and, Gavin Lux, Zion Williamson, and Kyler Murray, they're all still playing, and, I mean, in theory, any one of them could still have a great seasons and become an all-time great. But what about a player where that's not even a possibility at this point, such as Wander Franco here? I have two examples on him. So Franco is in the same camp as the previous three guys, just a young, way overhyped prospect whose card prices were just to the moon, based solely on hype and promise and speculation. And, people were paying big bucks for his rookie cards and autographs long before he ever stepped on a Major League Baseball field. When he finally did step on the field, yeah, he showed some promise, although, nothing that spectacular. But recently he's gotten into legal trouble, sexual assault charges regarding a minor, and chances are looking like he may never play Major League Baseball again, may spend some time in prison, and, his cards, which were already way down in value, obviously plummeted quite a bit more. This here is his 2019 Bowman Chrome Prospects autograph speckle refractor. First Bowman Chrome card is numbered out of 299, BGS Gem Mint 9.5 with a 10 for the auto. There was a sale of this card in March of 2021 on Pwcc for $4,000, as you can see here. And then more recently, this past November, a copy of the card in the same grade, 9.5 grade from Beckett, sold for $113. That represents a 97% loss in value on this card. And, at $113, I think there is still more room for the card to drop. All right, one more Wander Franco example to show you, and I actually know the story of this one as I know the person who pulled this from a pack. His name is Jonah. We've done a couple deals with him over the years. Great guy. He pulled this card from a pack back in, I think, 2021 maybe. It's a 2019 Bowman Platinum Top Prospects autograph. It's a foil fractor, which is a 101. So this is the 101 copy of this card. He sent it off to Beckett. It graded a 9 with a 10 for the auto, as you can see. And he eventually decided to sell the card. He sold it on Goldin in March of 2022 and it went for $18,000. This was long before any of the scandal stuff came out. Now the card's actually sold twice since then, with the most recent sale being just 18 months later at $504. This was in August of 2023, again on Goldin. Now this sale happened after the original allegations, of course, but there's been news since this sale that sort of made him look more guilty. So you would have to assume that this card would sell for even less than this today. But from 18,000 down to 500 in just a year and a half, that's a 97% loss of value, and that's sort of the extreme example downside of investing in young prospects, especially ones who are just way overhyped out of the gate. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, let me know in the comments any examples you have of just extreme price drops since the peak of the boom in early 2021. But really appreciate it, and see you all again next time. Thanks everyone.